Lisa, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stranda. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real. It's so lovely. So I came across this video right for you, and I thought to share where the whole of the internet is reacting to the fact that Trump wants to declare a martial law on the 20th of this month. Oh, because there's another protest that is about to happen on the 19th. This got people reacting, and I was able to put up some stitches from pink colored people to know what they have to say about all of these ongoings. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. All right.
Well, there are rumblings all over the media now that on April 20th, Trump will declare martial law, which effectively means the military takes over for the police. Free speech becomes illegal. Protests become illegal. You have to have the permission of the military to do anything. And worse than that, the commander-in-chief, Trump, can do basically anything he wants. Literally. Okay, we may be looking at the end of American democracy, and we have 13 days left. Okay, here's my point. Please prepare your family for the worst. The other rumor is that they're going to seize all the guns. So if you have a gun, you want to keep it, you might want to bury it in your backyard. Stock up on food. Please stop spending money you don't have to spend. You may need it. Okay, if he shuts everything down, you're going to need some cash. You're going to need something. Okay, please prepare your family for the worst and hope for the best. If this is just a rumor and it doesn't happen, then that's great. We're all fine. But if it does, you have 13 days to prepare. Please be ready.
All right, everybody. I've heard some rumblings on TikTok and other sources about people being concerned about Donald Trump possibly declaring martial law on April 20th by way of the Insurrection Act of 1807. Apparently, the protests that happened the other day have stirred things up a bit and either scared Trump or infuriated him or both, in addition to other people in his administration. He's asked Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and I believe Kristi Noem, to write up a proposal about this and about what would need to be done to declare martial law and submit that by April 20th. This is being posed as a way to control the southern border and the influx of illegal immigrants, but people that are in the know are very concerned that this is directly in response to the protests that happened on April 5th. So if Trump does enact the Insurrection Act of 1807 and declare martial law, what does that mean for you? Martial law means that the military will move in and replace civilian authorities in extreme cases like invasions, insurrections, and total breakdowns of law and order. The Insurrection Act allows a president to send troops to enforce the laws and restore order. However, this is only supposed to be used as a last resort. I believe the last time this was used was in the early 90s with the LA riots by George Bush. Trump did want to use this previously during the time of the George Floyd protests and riots, but the people around him that actually had a clue stopped him from doing this due to the implications of, in essence, unleashing the military on civilians. Here is the scary part. Civil liberties can be suspended. Curfews can be enacted. Your movements can be restricted, and your access to the courts may be limited. In addition to that, your right to protest can be severely restricted or eliminated altogether. The military can be used to disperse protests, crowds, or anything like that that's considered unwarranted or unwanted or banned at the time. So even though your First Amendment rights still technically apply, the courts typically defer to the government in times of martial law due to the Insurrection Act. Therefore, protesting may be very risky because you will have no legal recourse if you're arrested or detained. Even more concerning under martial law is revocation of your Second Amendment rights. Obviously, under normal conditions, the Second Amendment protects your right to bear arms. However, in times of martial law or public emergency, government may restrict or seize firearms, especially when they claim that it's for public safety. This is really where the rubber meets the road, because if the government starts seizing firearms from American citizens, at that point we truly become a fascist society or a fascist nation. Courts can still review actions of the government, and the Constitution isn't completely eliminated. However, like I said, the courts typically defer to the government. If something like this happens, you need to stay informed as best you can. You need to know your rights because they still do matter. You need to document everything via video, photos, journaling, whatever. You need to reach out to local organizations like the ACLU and other legal services, and then you need to stay as peaceful as possible. You can't do anything if you're arrested. Martial law is technically not supposed to be a free pass to government overreach. However, given how Donald Trump and his administration try to bastardize everything that they do, I'm sure that they will attempt to use it to the most extreme circumstances and allowances of the law. I truly hope that nothing like this happens, but if it does, stay engaged, stay informed, and stay safe. Like and follow.
It's uncanny. You heard about martial law, right? Trump wanted to put in martial law, April 20th, having to do with the Insurrection Act, which basically if he decides to, whatever the word is, the Insurrection Act from like 1807 or whatever, it allows him to put troops on the ground, right? And like literally troops on American soil, and it's basically like martial law. Okay? The reason why I'm making this post, it's like uncanny. Does he do it on purpose? Or is it just the universe just giving us signs, you know? April 20th is Hitler's birthday. Hitler's motherfucking birthday. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's very likely. It's very likely to happen. So, happy birthday, Hitler. It's uncanny.
Can someone explain to me what our day-to-day lives would look like if the whole April 20th martial law thing actually happens? Like, I realize there won't be any elections and we won't be able to protest. But do people still go to work? Do kids still go to school? Can we go to the grocery store? Would we be allowed to travel to a different state? Or maybe there would be, I don't know, checkpoints? As a mother of young children, I'm trying to prepare myself mentally as much as possible so that my children think their life is as normal as possible. I certainly don't want them to be stressed out. And for those of us in a state with a Democratic governor, like, do they lose all of their power? Do we have access to the money in our bank accounts? Can we go to the doctor if we need to? What does life look like?
At what point have we all had enough? I mean, legitimately, if we trail back to January 20th, Donald Trump signed an executive order that declared a state of emergency on the southern border. He then asked basically all major law enforcement agencies within our federal government to then go investigate how severe this is. All of the heads of those departments are Trump cronies now. We've seen it. We've watched it happen. What do you think that decision is going to be on if he can declare the Insurrection Act on April 20th? I mean, the clock is ticking. He's going to use the protests that we just had. Any violent interaction that barely ties in with anything that could go along with his political agenda, he's going to tie in. These people have made ASMR videos about deportation, about sending people to concentration prisons and camps. They've made AI videos that are generated based on the fact that that land could only be taken through genocide. What do you think is going to happen? And why are you just sitting at home? Why are people just sitting at home? I don't get it.
Friends, the best we can hope for at this point in time is that the military tells him to pound sand, because he already signed the Insurrection Act. He's just waiting for his 90-day period to be over. He pulls it back out and they tell him yes or no. Well, he's going to do it because it essentially is martial law and it allows him to retain power. There's no more court. There's no more Congress. There's no one to tell him that he can't do anything anymore. It's the whole point. It was written in Project 2025. It's the whole point. It's how they declare him king. And I have people who are like, well, what did you want us to do? We weren't militia. We're not militia. Did anyone ever throughout history automatically be trained to have to fight for their rights, for their freedom? They just did it because it was the right thing to do. And we may very well have missed our chance. And I don't know what's going to happen. Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. If we get lucky and the military tells him to pound sand, that he's violated the Constitution and something happens out of it, great. If not, get ready. Take care.
Why should April 20th matter to you? Yes, it's 420, and God knows we all have reason to be stoned this year and spent a few hours forgetting this administration. But on January 20th, 2025, when news outlets were covering Trump's inauguration, something very important was happening in a back room. He signed an executive order. I know, he does this probably more than he changes his underwear, but why is this one important? Because it declared a national emergency at the southern border, and it gave the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security 90 days to report together on whether the president should invoke the Insurrection Act. 90 days from January 20th is April 20th. But let's back up. What's the Insurrection Act? It's an act that was passed in 1807 that gives the president the right to deploy U.S. troops on American soil in our cities. The president gets to do this, leapfrogging the governors and mayors and even protesters. It means democracy takes a backseat to authoritarianism, while the administration pretends that they are trying to restore order. Okay, I get it. You think I'm overreacting. But am I? Because Trump already did this. In June 2020, after George Floyd was murdered and millions of Americans took to the streets in protest, what did Trump do? I'll give you a guess, and the answer was not allow for peaceful protest and empathy. Instead, he tried to invoke the Insurrection Act. When the military said nope, he sent federal forces to break up peaceful protests in D.C. so he could have a photo op holding an upside-down Bible in front of a church. He was so pissed off that the generals wouldn't bow to his wishes that he found a way around it. This time, he's making sure that he doesn't have to. Trump has installed cronies in every position that would normally serve as a check and balance to the executive branch. Instead of a military that upholds the Constitution rather than the president, we have Pete Hegseth, the guy spilling war plans over on Signal. We have Tulsi Gabbard oxymoronically heading up intelligence. And of course, J.D. Vance, the Veep, who can't get anyone in Greenland to listen to him, is down with the military using force against Americans. In fact, on March 19th, 1 month before this Insurrection Act deadline, these three went to the southern border and they did a photo op. There was no other reason for them to be there. Nothing political, no routine visit, just a photo op for the media by the defense secretary, the VP, and the head of military intelligence. Why? Because this has never been about immigration, but rather about absolute power. They were starting to braid the threads that will in a month become the story that gives them a reason to invoke the Insurrection Act when there's no actual insurrection. What will they say? Look, we had to do it. This is a disaster of enormous proportions. Why do you think we were all there monitoring it? So let's say that April 20th comes and the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security, now run by Trump loyalists, tell the president that he can invoke the Insurrection Act. Then what? Well, Trump continues to lie, of course. He'll tell the media that blue Democratic cities are under siege by the radical left and illegal immigrants. I wouldn't be surprised if he uses the millions that turned out this past weekend in protest to prove his point. He signs the Insurrection Act. He sends the military to places like Boston, New York, Chicago. Protesters get arrested because the military is allowed to do that under the Insurrection Act. The media is told to stand down or face consequences. Even more immigrants are rounded up and put in holding centers. And the public is told to shut up or face retribution. And it's all perfectly legal because of the Insurrection Act. Now, if you think that the military won't do this or that the courts will stop Trump, think again. The National Guard was sent in when the military wouldn't go during the George Floyd protests. The courts didn't stop January 6th from happening. They could only prosecute after the fact, and even then, those who were jailed have already been pardoned. April 20th is coming, and Trump is going to say that the Insurrection Act is really a terrible, terrible thing, but he has to do it to save America. What he's really doing is saving power for himself. Fascism doesn't come with goose-stepping soldiers. It comes with orders signed in back rooms, loyalists who care only about their own status in the administration, and citizens who are too scared to speak out. So what do? Well, it's not April 20th yet. So call your representatives today and ask them to investigate Trump's January 20th executive order. Contact the media and tell them to report on the Insurrection Act. Tell everyone you know about this and ask them to tell 5 more people and to call their reps too. Trump is assuming we won't know what he's done until it's after April 20th and too late. Oh, by the way, guess what else is April 20th? Hitler's birthday. So let's say that April 20th comes and the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security, now run by Trump loyalists, tell the president that he can invoke the Insurrection Act. Then what? Well, Trump continues to lie, of course. He'll tell the media that blue Democratic cities are under siege by the radical left and illegal immigrants. I wouldn't be surprised if he uses the millions that turned out this past weekend in protest to prove his point. He signs the Insurrection Act. He sends the military to places like Boston, New York, Chicago. Protesters get arrested because the military is allowed to do that under the Insurrection Act. The media is told to stand down or face consequences. Even more immigrants are rounded up and put in holding centers. And the public? The public is told to shut up, face retribution. And it's all perfectly legal because of the Insurrection Act. Now, if you think that the military won't do this, or that the courts will stop Trump, think again. The National Guard was sent in when the military wouldn't go during the George Floyd protests. The courts didn't stop January 6th from happening. They could only prosecute after the fact, and even then, those who were jailed have already been pardoned. April 20th is coming, and Trump is going to say that the Insurrection Act is really a terrible, terrible thing, but he has to do it to save America. What he's really doing is saving power for himself. Fascism doesn't come with goose-stepping soldiers. It comes with orders signed in back rooms, loyalists who care only about their own status in the administration, and citizens who are too scared to speak out. So what do? Well, it's not April 20th yet. So call your representatives today and ask them to investigate Trump's January 20th executive order. Contact the media and tell them to report on the Insurrection Act. Tell everyone you know about this and ask them to tell 5 more people and to call their reps too. Trump is assuming we won't know what he's done until it's after April 20th and too late. Oh, by the way, guess what else is April 20th? Hitler's birthday.
I want to talk about April 19th and April 20th because I think that they are both extremely important days to be aware of and to be prepared for. So here we go. April 19th is the next nationwide 50-51 protest. We are hoping that it is bigger than it was Saturday. We had 5.2 million people out on Saturday. And it was beautiful to watch that many people stand together to stand against something. And I hope that we have even bigger numbers this weekend or next weekend on the 19th. But the 20th is the most important day because the 20th, aside from being Schmittler's birthday, is also the last day that Trump could invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. And if people of color are out in the streets, because Donald Trump equates blackness to violence, he can, in his head, justify invoking the Insurrection Act and declaring martial law. So, if you are a person of color, I'm not going to tell you to stay at home because it's not my place as a colorless cousin to tell you what to do in this situation. But I do hope that if you decide to come out and you decide to fight with us, that you are safe and that you are prepared. I do hope that you stay safe and let us handle this because I feel like y'all have done enough. Your ancestors have done enough. And it's time for you to sit it out if you feel comfortable doing that because this is our fight and we're going to fight for you. So just be aware that the weekend of April 19th and April 20th there is going to be something that happens. So be safe, be aware, and be vigilant.
Like seriously,
Love you guys.
the truth of this whole thing is the fact that this administration has been already planning to declare this martial law. That this has always been the plan. This has always been. I actually remembered me stitching a video here, and it was actually a discourse by Black people talking about why they don't want to go out there to protest. A lot, get reasons concerning this law that is about to be declared. So many, people that looks like me talked about how black people going out there with warrant these people declaring this martial law. And the thing is that they did it anyways. They did it. Even when they saw that people that looks like me didn't go out there to march. And they decided to, they wanting to do this, knowing the fact that, okay, this protest was peaceful. And I heard that there is another protest which was coming up on the 19th, right? And now I think there is a kind of shaky, which they were like, okay, for these folks not to come out, that means they might actually come out on the 19th. This whole thing is making a lot of sense. They want to declare it in the fear that people that looks like me might actually come out, since they were not where to be found on the 5th of April. And now they, with all of the scary thing, they with the way at which people turned up, with the way at which, they are saying that, oh, some pan-colored people are beginning to understand what black people have been trying to say, like, this is getting so serious. This is why these people want to pass this law. These people want to declare this law. They do not want your protest, be it peaceful or not. They don't want any of your contribution. Your voices does not really matter. Nobody cares. Like, they don't care about what you think about the president's administration. All they care about is whatsoever that they want to do. They don't want any dispute. They don't want anyone to come asking them questions. They just want to do their thing. Like, that means democracy is actually shaky right now. And I think MAGA supporters are actually saying what is going on. I hope they are saying what is going on. I hope that they are so happy with all of their wishes coming to a reality right now. Like, this is a process whereby every other thing will be handled by military. Like, your voices have been shut up. You don't have any right to voice your opinion. When this man actually said that he was going to be a king, or did he even name himself a king, people thought that it was one of his joke, one of his caricature, memo, and all of that, without realizing that why some people actually think that he does not know what he's talking about. Oh my God, this man actually know exactly what he's doing. He's very wise. He's controlling. He don't want to be questioned. He just want to do his thing. Like, he wants to make whatsoever system his own personal business, like his own. Like, you don't need to talk. Like, who are you to actually come to ask questions? This is all it is. So if you declare this law or sign this, that means your opinion does not really matter. All you need to do is to just come on the social platform and rant. And it is unfortunate that majority of people actually voted for this. And the same people that are crying right now, asking for help, looking for who to come out and protest with them, are the same people who put a lot into this predicament right now. The same people. I hope everyone is happy. I hope everyone is happy right now, especially the people who contributed with all of the things that is happening right now, because your voices are not going to be heard. You're only going to rant and get back to your homes. Like, how was it so fast? There are so many people like, oh, things are going to get worse until when it get better, until when it goes better, but it's as if each and every person day, like you just wake up in the morning, you're expecting that something drastically might happen again. Every day it's a new story, a story that will keep you questioning yourself, like how did I even get here? You know, because they now see that people are not having it. They can't deceive people long enough. People are beginning to understand that this is not all about them. People are now beginning to see their real color, so they are all shaky. Like, anyways, lovelies. When I saw this, I thought that I was just gonna bring it here. You know, why not just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that. Like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. Think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button. Like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.